Welcome to 843 TV. I'm your host, Lisa Richardson.
And I'm your host, Annalisa Itkor. Today we are on the Bluffton campus here at Technical College of the Lowcountry, and we have three fantastic guests with us. First on deck, we have Lee Copeland. She is the Assistant Vice Principal for Marketing and Public Relations.
And next we have Clayton Rollison. He is the owner and executive chef at the Lucky Rooster restaurant located on Hilton Head Island.
And finally, we'll be welcoming Jeff Cruz. He is on the TCL Culinary Institute Advisory Board.
So stick around for this episode of 843 TV,
where communities come to speak.
843 TV, where Bluffton comes to speak.
Where Spring Island comes to speak.
Where Hilton Head Island comes to speak.
Where Beaufort comes to speak.
TV,
where communities come to speak.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of 843 TV. Today finds us on the beautiful Bluffton campus of Technical College of the Lowcountry. And joining us, we have Lee Copeland. She handles the marketing and the public relations here on the campus. Now, 2017 was a very exciting year for TCL. All kinds of new things brought into the program, but 2018 holds something very special. Tell us about that.
Well, 2018 is exciting for us. We've had so much fun planning for this year. The college actually shares its mission of education with the Mather School, which was founded in 1868 to educate the daughters of freed slaves during Reconstruction. So for over 100 years, that establishment empowered countless individuals. And then in 1968, the property was turned over to the state of South Carolina and eventually became TCL, your community college. So 2018, if you were counting, marks 150 years for the Mather School and 50 years for the college.
Wow, that truly is amazing. I venture to say that most community members have no idea the history that you just told us about. So it's a big anniversary year.
Absolutely.
What are some ways the college is celebrating?
Well, as I mentioned, we've been planning for probably the last year. We've spent a lot of time thinking about how to incorporate it into everything we do. The college and the Mather School alumni are hosting a number of events. Our first major event is the President's State of the College Address. And then the Mather School is planning a whole weekend of sesquicentennial celebration.
Say that's 5 times fast.
Yes, exactly.
That was pretty good.
In late February, and that'll include a free community concert with Marlena Smalls. They're also hosting their own semi-formal gala. So you can go online, we'll get that website address to you, but they'll be doing a lot of that. And then we're also reaching out to our 85,000 students who have attended TCL in the last 50 years and trying to capture some of their stories. So we've got some exciting things in the works, and I'll be happy to come back and share more about that.
That's exciting.
You mentioned the President's State of the College Address. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So this is our 3rd annual President's State of the College Address. It's actually going to be held right here at the New River campus in Bluffton. It's set for 5:30 p.m. on Thursday, February 8th. And so President Goff will be, of course, highlighting our 2018 anniversaries. We'll be recognizing some of our distinguished donors, and we'll be formally announcing the building of the Lowcountry Culinary Institute and Interpretive Center.
Wow, that's awesome.
So I have to tell you, Culinary Institute, that gets my attention. Anything with food, I'm there. So
Exactly.
Tell us more about that program.
Yeah.
Well, this is probably one of the most exciting projects I've worked on in my 11 years with the college. But it's really been years in the making. So many different people have been involved. And it was just this month that Beaufort County approved our request for $8 million in funding. And then our partners at Beaufort County School District and the town of Bluffton are also contributing. So right now we have about $11 million to build the Institute. So I can't say enough about those community partners, and I think what's made it so strong is the industry that we've been working with from day one. They're the ones that approached us, and so this whole concept is based on what they need. So we're so excited.
You mentioned the relationship with the town and the Beaufort County School District. I don't know that a lot of people are aware of that. Can you share a little bit about how that relationship works?
Sure. Well, for us, you know, I mentioned this before. Yes, our name is Technical College of the Lowcountry. You might be more familiar with the community college concept, and that's really what we are. And so everything we do, we look to our local partners for community support. We're state assisted, meaning we get only about 15% of our revenue is from the state of South Carolina. Everything else we depend on our tuition and our local government to support that. So the county is a big advocate, Jasper County. We also serve Hampton and Colleton. So that local support is what allows us to do new and great things. So they were involved from day one, and they're actually supporting us in multiple ways, but that financial support is critical, and that's what's making this project happen.
But there's a real give and take, because I don't think it's any big secret that we have something of a workforce crisis in this area, and particularly with providing this Culinary Institute, you are going to be filling a need in the communities. So there's a reason why they support you, because you turn right around and support them.
And I wanted to talk a little bit about that, and that to me is going to be the biggest benefit. You and I are going to benefit as much as any student will. The resort and tourism industry is our #1 economic driver here.
Absolutely.
And just like you said, they're facing a critical workforce shortage. The culinary sector in particular is suffering. And we know that dissatisfied tourists won't return. So less tourism means less tax revenue, which is really what threatens the quality of life we all enjoy here. So without a doubt, I think the Institute is going to go so far in helping fill that need. And what's so exciting, I mentioned this, is the curriculum, the programming is based on what our local industry needs. So that's what I'm
And
so
you
excited
answered what we were going to ask you. Why is it so important to the community? Well, you just mentioned it. Imagine the benefit, for our chamber, who is out there promoting our resort industry, and that's so critical. So that just, what
Absolutely.
a great internetworking.
Our mission, vision at the college is to elevate each student in every community we serve. So I think the Culinary Institute is going to go a long way in elevating the culinary industry here in Hilton Head, in Beaufort, in the region. We're also part of the project as an interpretive center, which is essentially a food and beverage museum. So we're going to bring to life the history of local culinary cuisine and really give a place to showcase that.
That's going to be really
Yeah.
cool.
This is some great stuff, and we have more for you, so stick around and we'll be back with more 843 TV. Welcome back to 843 TV here at the Technical College of the Lowcountry, and joining us next is Clayton Rollison. He's the owner and chef of the lovely Lucky Rooster restaurant on Hilton Head Island. Good to talk with you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Clayton, you've been here for several years. Share a little bit about your background and what you do in your restaurant.
Yeah, so I'm from the area. My family's been here a long time, and then they've been in the restaurant industry. My father had a restaurant. My uncle was part of a large restaurant group on the island, so it kind of just fell into it, and it was just a good fit.
Now, so I have to say, I feel a little starstruck because I'm such a fan of your restaurant and the food. So why are you such an advocate for the Culinary Institute?
After moving back here from traveling and cooking all over the country, Hilton Head and Beaufort County as a whole, we've been at a disadvantage not having, a proper, education for our industry compared to what Charleston offers. And now, Charlotte didn't take Johnson & Wales on accident. So, and this is our biggest industry in our area.
Considering we are such a big tourist and hospitality driven industry, it is kind of unusual that we hadn't had this. So this is a huge thing coming up that's going to make some good value to our area.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think I know the answer, but just to ask you again, how do you think the Culinary Institute will benefit small business and restaurants in the Lowcountry?
Well, anytime you can have some kind of trained labor force coming into the market that we're not starting from just scratch, from ground zero, is a huge benefit. Having people that speak the same language in a kitchen is really important to have. It's way more than just culinary training when you're talking about the hospitality industry. I mean, it's really one of those things that, yes, there's a specific skill set you need to be successful in a restaurant, but there's also this whole other level of emotional empathy that you really, I think college plays a lot a lot into it because this is the first time, kids are leaving home and having to really interact with other people without like that safety net underneath them. So, and that's really vital to be part of a team in a kitchen. I mean, it's really a close-knit group of people working together.
And you kind of answered our question is why is it important for the employees to have training? What
Well,
kind of process?
I'm sorry, I'm going to interject.
Yeah, go ahead.
So so many people think being a chef is just knowing how to cook.
Right.
And only because I'm a total addict, just ask my husband of every food program on the planet. You get that sense that it is so much more than that. I mean, learning how to run a kitchen, learning how to speak the language, learning how to buy what you need to meet the needs of the restaurant for every day with a different, I mean, it's incredible what they have to learn.
Being a chef, I joke with the person that runs the kitchen with me, Drew, that if his knife's on the board too much, he's not doing his job. The cooks are there to cook, the chefs are there to lead. And that's really, it's no different than any other business. There's this huge misconception that like the guy that runs the restaurant, the executive chef is there making sure, cooking everything for everyone. That's just not the reality of it. It's a team, it's a brigade. We work like any other business where each person's tasked with specific things, and the executive chef works like the air traffic controller. He makes sure that everything works together and that nothing crashes. And that's a skill set that's really hard. There's organization, there's communication. Our brains are working on an egg timer at all times between cooking things properly, making sure it's executed.
Quality control, sure.
Quality control, and those are all the things that take time, and a culinary school laying the groundwork really helps, especially the small businesses, because to develop a person that walks in with very little to no skill set to a person that is a productive, functioning member of the business, that's really a year or 2 years if we're starting at a zero baseline. So having a culinary school really shows that the kids are invested in themselves. This is what they want to do. They're not just falling into some industry. Like I'm not going to wake up and say, I want to be a plumber. That doesn't work. There's a whole apprenticeship program that you have to go through, and you guys have classes. They have classes here at at the college for that stuff.
So clearly they have to invest themselves and their time. And I'm sure one thing that's going to be on students' brain who are entertaining this program is, what are the rewards? I mean, what kind of pay can someone who has culinary training expect?
Well, I started out, bussing tables and washing dishes in high school, and now I own my own business.
Right.
So I mean, it really is up to the motivation of the student. It's no different than if you go to law school. What do you expect when you get out of law school? Do you use it? Do you invest in yourself? Do you continue when you leave college to continue to pursue with some discipline and focus your dream, right? So I mean, there is no earning limit to it. It really depends on how much you're willing to invest and put into yourself. And I think that's something that kids that make the decision that they're going to work in the kitchen, they're going to work in the hospitality field, will have a leg up on over the person that's kind of, I don't know what to do and I got to pay my bills when I'm 19 years old. Mom and dad said I got to get out the house, so it's time to go,
Well, you're clearly a living example of everything you're described. You've got your heart and soul invested in it. You've worked your way up from bus person to owning your own restaurant. What other additional advice or would you give to someone who's thinking about a career in this industry?
There's a really good foreword in the French Laundry Cookbook, and Thomas Keller talks about passion versus discipline. And passion's fun when things are easy, but do you have the discipline and the motivation to wake up and do it every day? And that's part of what being in a kitchen is, like getting to create dishes and getting to run specials. That's really fun, but do you have the discipline every day to get out of bed and put forth your best effort to taste every dish? And that's probably the most important thing you have when you carry into a kitchen, especially a really professional one. And school's a great way. You have class, you're responsible, you're accountable, you're graded on it. And it's a great start to that discipline.
Well, Clayton, thank you so much for your words of wisdom. I know that they'll be appreciated by people who are so interested in the Culinary Institute. We will be back with more information on that, as well as some other conversations about TCL in just a few moments. And we are back with more 843 TV. Joining us, we have Jeff Cruz. Now, you are part of the TCL Culinary Advisory Board. Before we get into more information about the Culinary Institute, tell us a little bit about yourself, but also, I'm sure with your position, you can share some information on how you got from conception to reality. I'm sure there were a lot of people involved with that.
Absolutely. This has been a process that started back in the mid-1990s, really. And
Wow.
I came to Hilton Head in 1982 and have been in senior food and beverage management ever since. And back in the mid-1990s, we first began to identify the need for a culinary school. And it's been a long path. And it started way back with some industry leaders here on the island, John Curry, Angus Cotton, who this building happens to be named after, that were both influential in planting the seed to get this culinary school built. Now, it has been a long, long road to get here. Everybody, I think, identified the need. We all know the critical need for culinary staffing in Beaufort County. And this is something that the Technical College is uniquely qualified to provide this type of education. Funding was always the critical problem. We needed to find a way to build a school that would serve the needs or begin to service the needs of Beaufort County and Colleton County and Hampton County and Jasper County, because those are the 4 counties that the Technical College of the Lowcountry serves. We looked at a number of different options, but this really all came to a head, I believe, when Dr. Goth and Mary Lee Carnes, Dr. Goth is the president of Technical College, and Mary Lee Carnes is the vice president. They really put a stake in the ground and really began to work very hard at finding the funding necessary to build this school. And it has been through the combined efforts of Beaufort County Council, the school board, and the town of Bluffton that this has all come together over the last 2 years, and it's now a reality with the funding in place.
Let's talk real quick so there's not confusion. We've got USCB doing a hospitality branch on the island. This is different. Share a little bit about the distinction or maybe how you do interact.
Well, there's always been a complementing of the educational programs at TCL and USCB. TCL is a 2-year college. And USCB is a 4 full-year college, and you can transfer after 2 years at TCL and go and continue to get a 4-year degree. The USCB Pro is more front of the house focused. In the food and beverage industry, you have front of the house, which is the people that compose the front part of the management team, and you have the back of the house, which is primarily your culinary team. This program will be more focused on providing the back of the house training that is required to be successful in the culinary industry.
Very clearly understood now. Very great. What kind of programs then would someone be able to take in the Culinary Institute?
There's going to be a wide range of programs that will serve our community best, and that is one of the purposes of TCL, to serve the needs of the community and to actually educate people on things or what is needed to go out and be a productive part of the workplace. It's still in development. We are certainly going to use the example of the culinary schools at Charleston and in Myrtle Beach. They have very, very strong culinary schools. So within the next 6 months, but they will primarily be based on teaching people the discipline and the passion that it requires to be a successful culinarian. And then what they do with that is really up to them.
Got it.
So how did we end up at Buckwalter with this?
Very, very good.
Isn't it the hot spot?
Very, very, very good question. That has been part of a 2-year due diligence process, and it really came down to what was going to serve the students best. I mean, that's really what it came down to. For the longest time, Hilton Head has sort of been the epicenter of all the things culinary in Beaufort County. But as I said earlier, this school services 4 counties, and when we looked at it from what was going to attract the most students, because we are in the business of attracting students to take this, we are building out to 300 students that will be there. The Buckwalter track, with the cooperation of Bluffton, was a financial, operational, and marketing success. That was the place, when everything came together, all made sense to place it there.
Yeah, there's definitely more restaurants opening in Bluffton than anywhere else in
And
the
just
area
from
right
a
now.
transportation point of view, in a technical college, you want to place the school, much like this one is placed, in the center of the area that it services. And that is indeed the Buckwalter track.
So, I'm sorry.
Just a great logistically placed location to access from those counties that you mentioned.
Yeah, it is very central. That's great.
Correct.
Now, I have to say, I've been by Buckwalter Place not too long ago, and I didn't see any institute being built. And, you know, I'm one of those immediate gratification kind of people. I mean,
Right.
what is the timeline and what are the next steps?
Well, the final reading from Beaufort County Council to give us the funding, the $11.3 million required for the capital building of the school. There's still other funding that we have to get from the public. That was, the final reading was on January the 8th. That gave us the ability to go forth and begin the funding process with the state of South Carolina to hire an architect of record. And that is going to be a 6 to 8 month process. So the school actually won't start going under actual construction until the early part of 2019. And that's an approximately a 1 year process. So the next 2 years, we've waited over 20 years to have this built. So to think that it's only going to be 20 months now before it's actually up and constructed and accepting students, we are getting close to the finish line.
Wow. Well, things are certainly continuing to boom in southern Beaufort County, and this is another example. Very exciting to hear all of these things. Thank you both for telling us some details today. We look forward to hearing more and seeing this project unfold. And thank you all for watching this episode of 843 TV,
Where communities come to speak.